Hey, so today we wanted to talk about Blabberize and using other tools for generating images to bring into Blabberize and make them talk. And Kimmy and I have been recently playing with an AI system where you can generate images. You've probably noticed a lot of these being used around. Um, and this is one of the weirder examples where we asked the system to make an image of a Seinfeld still where Kramer was Luigi. This image doesn't exist. It's wholly made up.
Luigi.
Hold on, let's see if we can get it to talk.
It's a me, a fake Kramer Luigi.
So this image isn't real. Of course, I've given it my voice, but this person doesn't exist either. We just asked it to make Luigi from Seinfeld, and this is what we've got. And we thought it'd be a fun and interesting thing to examine what sort of images can you get from various prompts and how it might be useful in the classroom, especially when you're looking for content that you want to create and use. Kimmy, I don't know, like what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a fun exercise because we came into this thinking like, okay, let's generate some images and see what kind of blabbers we can make out of it. Let's try and recreate blabbers we've done before using AI generated images. And the process was like a little bit different, I think, than we came into it knowing, I guess.
Yeah, we started out with
And
the idea of your meatball
yes,
video. Yeah.
yeah, so we're like, we'll just go in there and we'll like generate a meatball with cartoon eyes, and that process, was it turned out a little interesting,
Yeah.
which we'll get to see.
Let's just jump into it. Let's go directly to it. So this is our first prompt where we're just giving the system, we just asked it for a single one meatball on a white back because we kept getting a whole bunch of meatballs. We said a single one meatball on a white background, brightly lit on a plate by itself, and this is what it gave us. And we're gonna start like just going through these because they get weirder, and I'm sure Kimmy has like a lot of comments to say about this, like because we were frustrated and laughing, also confused and also surprised by the system that it was making. So here it completely disregards that we want a single meatball, other than for this last picture here.
But look, like the images are pretty amazing, right? Like they look amazing, but
Super
yeah, getting it
photorealistic.
to understand, yeah,
Right,
and
like
like
these aren't real meatballs, right? We have to keep reminding ourselves these are not real meatballs. These are made up meatballs.
some of the
Completely.
later ones it'll become more obvious that it's not real, but like yeah, these ones, I mean, I could see this on a menu, or an ad. But yeah, getting it to understand that we wanted one meatball was difficult.
Repeatedly trying to give it more descriptors. A big single one meatball with diffused lighting lit on a white plate on a white table. Um, a quick little call out to the site we're using. This is a site called Replicate, and the this is what's the name of this image diffusion diffused. No, it's a stable diffusion is the name of the model. There's a number of these out now. This is one that's open source and available. You get a number of free prompts that you can give on this site, after which, like, because each of these images takes a certain amount of time to process. When set time's used up, they have like a nominal amount of money that you can like just spend for minutes and develop other ones. So all these images that we're going to show you were done for less than $2. Just keep that in mind if you're going to be using like an online system. But yeah, more meatballs. This was hilarious. It put a giant meatball in the background, looking over the tiny meatballs on the plate. Like, once again, we're struggling. Finally, we got one meatball here.
With like one herb coming out of it.
Right, just like a little herb, yeah. And we're trying to look because the meatball video that Kimmy made, it's like a singing meatball that's like rolling off of its plate. It's like anthropomorphized. Of course, it has eyes and a mouth. So we're asking for a meatball with eyes on it, and it's struggling here. Like it doesn't know. Like it put this black meatball with a googly eye, one googly eye, one googly eye here, and then like no pupil in the background. Um, with two googly eyes. We wrote it in caps. We can see if we can get that. And you can see this one tried to make a weird proto eye. It just never got there. This one just put a glowing sun. This one got one eye, not two. But we got 2 meatballs in this one. This one, look at this. This is the smoothest. Like, what is this? This is just a tomato or a ball? I don't know. There, now finally said we just went for the simplest thing we could. Meatball with eyes. And this is pretty close, actually. Although this is kind of like a gross looking meatball. Oh my god, what is happening with this one? It's like, what is that? This one gets a little terrifying because like it's
Yeah. I don't like the texture there.
the texture's weird, but it's also interesting that it understood the lighting. So like, see how the shadow's on this side, but it's on the shadow of the eye too. This one's got a, I don't know what the medical term for that is, where the iris gets split or the colored area. It's a medical issue. Not what we wanted. Okay, so we said maybe it'll look better with a cartoon one. So cartoon meatball with eyes. Recognize we never asked for feet though. Like, this was its decision. Boots, like, it's got feet. It's gonna have shoes. This one, the weird stumps. Kirby.
I love that one.
You like this
Yeah.
one? This
I
worried one?
love that one. Yeah. I love the style.
Is like watercolor. Yeah, where it's like bleeding off the edges. Kirby for this one. This one's kind of amazing. Looking off to
Yeah,
this,
that one's
both
cool.
of them looking in this direction. Mouth is a little bit weird. Cartoon meatball with eyes. Oh, and then we went and looked at some of the examples, and so one of the examples was they had like, for some reason the system was doing meerkats really well. They were showing off, oh look, we can do meerkats, and so we threw in a meerkat eating an apple in the Bjorn art style, and this one did pretty well. It's even got some drool coming out, like that's crazy. So meerkat eating apple in the cartoon art style.
Wow.
This is not a good drawing. Let's be honest here. All right, like we're seeing realistic meatballs, and then this,
Ooh.
this one's got some texture to it, so it's very interesting. Outputted some good stuff. This was another one of the examples where it gave of a river otter wearing a hat and a specific art style, and these came out really well too. It was able to do river otters in drawing styles extremely well. Isn't that cute? Little cute face.
So cute. So cute.
Yellow hat. I like the hat. Where's that? Wearing a hat, of course. Okay. This
I like
one.
the third one.
This one right here. This one that's like looks a little worried.
Yeah.
But what about this one? This is no hat. Bald, but he's extremely enthusiastic. Okay, so this is another one of their examples. Pixar style, adorable snow fox in armor. I don't know where the corpus of this information is coming from. Like, the way these work is they just crawl across the internet and they're just gathering billions of images, of course with descriptions, and they're just pumping them in. So possibly someone had drawn this art style in a series, and this is now just appearing here in this way. So then we started seeing, because these systems, some of them block you from actually referencing individual because they don't want you creating images of an individual in situations that are probably not appropriate or are libelous. I don't know, like just are a poor taste. So this system allows you to enter in images. This is the stable diffusion model. So we tried Jennifer Lawrence running from a bear, and you can see it got the bear and Jennifer Lawrence's elbow, but not the rest of her. But it does a little bit better on the follow-up ones. Now we've got Jennifer Lawrence. This is where it gets a little terrifying, though. These faces, it struggles like with these sort of details here. It gets a little creepy. She's looking weird. Even the hands look a little strange there. But they've got
on first glance, it's like, oh, okay, it looks good, and then once you actually look at it, it's like, oh man, that's rough.
And the thing is, like, Blabberize with this, it's like you garbage in, garbage out. You know, like, you're gonna be able to make it talk, but it's gonna be this terrifying picture talking, which I don't know, give or take. Look at this one, this bear chasing down this budget Jennifer Lawrence. It just does not look like her.
Jennifer Lawrence at home.
Yeah, poor thing. Once again, funny stuff with the hands.
Yeah.
This one also, the bear isn't included here. Jennifer Lawrence running away from a bear, very clearly kind of written, but it doesn't put that. Her hands have like more fingers than I think they should. These only have not enough fingers. The bear here in an action shot. Jennifer Lawrence nowhere to be seen. This one is weird. I don't like. I didn't realize this actually split it into two panels. This one's probably
Oh, yeah.
this one's the most accurate one though. Jennifer Lawrence running from a bear.
Like the
Like
bear's features are pretty well defined, but yeah, like human features it has trouble with.
it doesn't struggle at all with this bear. That's true. I didn't even think about that. The bear's face is always well done, but
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence's face seems to be like an average of all the Jennifer Lawrence faces. This tiny baby bear
That's
chasing her down.
her hands in that one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
So much happening.
this. There's another hand coming out of her stomach too. So it's like it's.
Yeah.
I think it basically melded two positions of person running together. I mean, this is what it kind of comes down to. I think like this is an interesting sort of exercise if you have kids who are working on descriptive words or comprehension tasks and trying to kind of become more specific in their writing where they're trying to describe something using this as like a tool of just saying like, well, guess what, you're going to have to explain to the computer in very specific terms that it may not get it, is like probably an interesting exercise, and I think the kids will probably enjoy it too because of the varied sort of outputs that you can get from the system.
Yeah, actually, speaking of that, I remember vividly in elementary school we did a an exercise like that where you have a partner and one person gets like the teacher hands them out. It's just a simple page of like a picture of shapes on it in random spots, and then that person has to describe to their partner what's on the page, and the partner has to draw it, right? And it was such an interesting exercise. It was such a good like lesson in communication, and that really stuck with me. And yeah, doing the same thing with like a modern tool like this, like displaying, for example, the picture of the meatball on a plate, or something like that, and telling your students, hey, try and recreate this, like think of the best way you can describe it, would be just like a really cool, fun modern version of that same exercise.
It'd be really fun to like do this where you generate the image and then have the image talk with Blabberize, saying the prompt, saying I am. It's like, what
Yeah.
do you think the prompt was for this? And then they say, I am Jennifer Lawrence running away from a bear chasing me. It's like really cool. This. Look at this baby bears all of a sudden in this one. Two of them. Oh God, that's a terrifying face.
Yeah.
So then we started playing with a man smiling with gold teeth, and you were able to kind of input into this an image. So I just went to Google and I said man with gold teeth, and give me Flava Flav. And so I inserted this and then gave it a silhouette because the silhouette would basically define its position in there. I was just curious to see what it would do, and it presented these images. Now this kind of goes back to like a discussion that we had as well too about like the biases that are like within these systems. um so I didn't give, of course, like a man's skin color at all here, but it chose black. And then once we gave it a black base image, it went through and found black images of other individuals in its corpus and then just placed them there. Um, so the system basically has these tendencies to take bias for A, the input that you give it, and then A, the data that it was trained on. And so it may show things that you didn't implicitly express, but it's able to bring out just from the data that it was built upon. And that might be problematic, but it's also something to, I think, worth having a conversation with their students and kids, because now as we work in worlds that are more controlled and presented to us through algorithms, we are kind of uh, the endpoint of input for those algorithms. So it's like basically you ask this question and you're being presented with this, but this isn't the whole picture. It's just because the data has been funneled through this one path. So we wouldn't want like this would make you think that the only people who have gold teeth are black people, but that's not entirely true.
Yeah, I think it's also it can be a little bit tricky when you're teaching younger kids, like to say, hey, put in a prompt for a doctor. It might come out with a specific image, very specific stereotypes of who become doctors. That might look very different than if you say put in the prompt for secretary, right? Um, and so exposing little kids to that without, like, especially at an impressionable age, without much of a background on the biases built into the system could be kind of a tricky thing to navigate. But it, like Mo, like what you're saying, with older kids who are kind of ready to understand like societal biases and the bias in media, this could be a really interesting conversation just in itself. So
So one of the so I think this example came before the last one where we were just searching for a man smiling with gold teeth wearing clothes, and these were the images it generated, and you can see that they aren't necessarily placed or centered in the image well. So we gave it basically two example images, hoping that it would just basically use the image to extrapolate the positioning and then a man with gold teeth, because these pictures don't seem to show anyone with gold teeth at all, even though it's explicitly said in there. But it took that as a bias of going directly, like our prompt almost was ignored. The image basically added more information than what we were asking for. Um, like, just show us a man versus that one. So, yeah, it's an interesting open-ended system. Once again, Jennifer Lawrence with the bear. We'll kind of jump through these. Um, Other examples of things that you could do are if you need like less pointed sort of imagery, things that could just be like backgrounds or atmosphere, things that you could like add on top of if you wanted to put this in the background of like a PowerPoint or whatever. This example was a fish jumping over the moon with two suns and an alien battleship flying in the background. Doesn't seem to show two suns or an alien battleship here. We got two moons. We got sometimes two fish. This, I don't know what this is. Is this the spaceship? You're gonna find like we have an example later on where it does extremely well at like showing off a cityscape, but it doesn't do really well with this. So these systems are really kind of hit or miss depending on the data set and the inference that it can get from the description. Back to the meatballs, where we said maybe the issue was sauce. With no sauce, it seems to have gotten the eyes down. Um, with no sauce, yeah, it actually was putting down eyes a little bit better. Then once again, put the sauce on a side plate, which is a little weird. Um, this one is connected eyes. This one actually got a mouth on it, a little cute too. Human eyeballs on it, no looking happy. We kind of went back. We were thinking that we were gonna do a Blabberize thing with the meatball, see if that could get going. And then we went to examples where we had seen someone was able to get really good results by saying, give me a still from a sitcom from the 90s, and then they were adding like a variation on it. And so in this example, we said, give me Jerry Seinfeld as a meatball, and it showed Jerry Seinfeld with a meatball, and then just Jerry Seinfeld in this multi-panel one. We didn't ask for this. These aren't separate images. This is a single image that just put Jerry Seinfeld in there. And then this weird Jerry Seinfeld like avatar image. Um, Here's Jerry Seinfeld with a lot of meatballs. It doesn't look like Jerry Seinfeld though. It looks like Raymond. Is that everybody loves Raymond? Yeah,
Raymond, yeah.
like his brother a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
So, so noticing that it was doing Everybody Loves Raymond, we thought maybe would have a little more success. A still with a meatball face on the sitcom Everybody Loves Raymond, because I was assuming that maybe you could just turn one of the actors into a meatball. It just kind of made their faces like really human meatballs instead of like a meatball that's kind of on there. This is weird. This is the only one with a meatball in here. They all do have like these really creepy faces though.
Yeah.
So the one that we recognized that was really well, like we found that someone was able to have a lot of success with putting Mario into sitcom stills, and so we tried it as well. Mario shows up here twice. This one's actually pretty good, like the fact that it turned this in, but two of them. It's just weird. Mario still from Seinfeld. We were just trying out those prompts. This one's actually pretty amazing. That does look like Mario. And then cartoon Mario is of course in their data set, so they're pulling that in. It's weird because you're seeing like the Nintendo Mario from the actual games coming in. Like this is a video game shot right here, a video game character that put it in with. Okay, so then we started saying Kramer as Luigi in a still from Seinfeld. And we found this image, which we thought was pretty amazing. And just as like an example, we said, let's go and blabberize this one. And so, yeah, here's the Luigi blabber.
It's a me, a fake Kramer Luigi.
just say I'm a fake Kramer or Luigi. Um, so yeah, like that's basically kind of the idea that we had of like using this as a tool, because one of the things that we spend the most time on is creating that base image to get to talk. And so we thought this would be a shortcut for educators to use. Oh, and then this goes into kind of the ones that we know were more successful. We recognize that futuristic cities, like atmospheric ones of backdrops of locations, did really well. So futuristic city with fog and rain with a man with a glowing umbrella, and the quality of these images is kind of stunning to me. Like they look actually just really cool, really good. Um, yeah, I'm just startled by like how good these ones kind of came out. Oh, and we threw in some of these. So this is like a really simple prompt: cucumber with human eyes looking at a strawberry. And this system and many of the other ones out there block not safe for work content. If it generates something by accident that it feels is inappropriate, it blocks it off. And so this is something good for teachers so that they know their students try and enter something that's inappropriate. The systems will try and block, or you should probably check which model you're using. This one specifically does, um, but you can ask these systems for things that may not be like great for the classroom setting.
Even asking for something that is totally appropriate, if it accidentally generates something inappropriate, then
Right.
you get a nice little filter there.
So we tried that prompt again, slightly different cucumber with human eyes. It seems to have passed this time, just showing cucumbers. Um, Once again, trying to do some transfer to see how stuff looked like a meatball from VeggieTales, which didn't seem to come out right. Like this is all weird. I don't think it knows what to do.
But again, like the style, like the VeggieTales style, transfers really well. It didn't make the image that we were looking for, but it got the like essence right.
Right. And then sometimes it just gets it completely wrong. Like this was super surprising for us. We were just looking for a notable figure on the moon, one that we assumed that there'd be a lot of pictures of. George Washington shaking hands with a panda making a speech on the moon. It just got pandas shaking hands, and they're not on the moon. Like, not this one with human hands though, right? It was like this is. And then this one's a little bit on the moon, I guess, but there's two pandas shaking hands. We don't have President George Washington. Then we just got George Washington, who possibly is on the moon indoors in a pod or something. So then we thought President Obama, maybe like we need more recent, like a more recent president with more images. This is weird. We got this one, President Obama making a speech as an astronaut on the moon. He might be in that astronaut outfit. Like you just, it's not placing him there. Once again, trying it, you can see it's struggling to even draw. Like it's getting confused of like what this is. Um, a really creepy like robot Obama. You're once again not on the moon. Obama giving a speech on the moon as an astronaut. Once again, no. Once again, we tried to generate to see if it would do something. Confused. This one's just standing there.
I really like the posture of
Yeah,
this one.
exactly. You could just you could pass this off as a real picture of like someone too. It's crazy. This one's big smile giving a speech on the moon's surface once again. Not correct. The moon's surface. I wanted to see like what it understood as the moon's surface, and it gave this, which is kind of correct. Once again, the surface of the moon with the Earth in the background. I was hoping to get like the moonrise image that was really popular. Whole bunch of these where it just was not doing anything. Obama running around. No, it's not showing it. Once again, having trouble with some of these. It's just like flailing. Obama at the podium. It's not doing anything. This is just even just like some weird digital garbage it's just putting out. Going back to kind of just seeing like why Futuristic City was working well with the man with the girl in black. Like they're so stylized and just cool.
They're so visually pleasing too.
Yeah, this one's
so
just
nice.
stunning. Yeah, so definitely like doing backgrounds and stuff is pretty successful. I tried to go for like more descriptive terms of like brooding. This one just has it coming out of the head. These are super creepy. This one's beautiful though.
That one's so interesting.
It feels like this is just an image that just came straight through without any sort of like change. This one's also pretty cool. Once again, Mario and a still from Seinfeld, just not safe for work, no reason. Went back to kind of looking at the more successful ones where they had style transferred onto them. So a gentleman otter in 19th century portrait did these images, which are like just stunning. The fact that it like gathers the frame in these is so interesting. And so we just changed it slowly. Tried a hippo. This is amazing to me. This is incredible to me. This is a gentleman hippo. Like it really took it there. Like it's incredible. This one also too. Like look at this. These are just like these are startling. Like these are just point for point so good. A gentleman, Elon Musk, gave back not safe for work content. I don't know, like why. So then we just said a gentleman, Elon Musk, in a 19th century portrait. This is super creepy. This one's pretty good, also creepy though. This one's my favorite. That wild look in his eyes.
Startled.
Yeah, we gotcha. A gentleman, Elon Musk, once again, not safe for work content. Let's go back through. Oh God, Elon Musk is. The thing is with faces, it does that same thing where it averages them together. This is just a gentleman, Elon Musk at work. I don't know how it gathered the gentleman part here though. Oh, and then this is where we just started going back to kind of like more, less specific, more kind of open stuff. A gentleman horse portrait painted by Van Gogh, and it nailed these.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just Van Gogh. I don't understand.
Yeah.
But then the next one is a Van Gogh horse. Look, look at it. It's so good with the hair and everything. It's beautiful. It's so stunning. Incredible. A gentleman horse portrait painted by Monet. I didn't like it, but we tried it again. I think this one did work. By Picasso. So yeah, these horses are kind of. I don't know why I put this one in there. Gentleman horse painted by Warhol. Now these get like I think I misspelled Warhol here. Andy Warhol spelled correctly, and then it just like nailed him. These are kind of a little bit scary. How good these are. Like
Look at that. It looks so nice too. That third one, that's beautiful.
this one, yeah. Was it this one that you were looking at, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is weird. Like giving an input with your students' drawings in a sort of style like this could really, like, I think that it would really be able to take that and excel with it. Once again, I just threw in the Luigi picture that we had generated from the AI before and said, all right, take that same image, change it into a horse, and paint it by Andy Warhol. And it did really well with this one too. Like this is.
That's pretty good.
This is once again crazy where it got the hat. Like this looks.
Look at that.
This one's also beautiful too. Like how simple this is, but it captured. There's the mustache there. Like it's just. How would it know just to draw the mustache? It's because that's the most recognizable feature. This one seems so crazy. Like And then finally, this was kind of like the last thing that we did, just as an interesting one. This is also the one of the most expensive because it took a while to generate. We just asked it to. This is from another AI system. I think this was done with deform stable diffusion, where it's basically taking frames um, and generating them multiple times and blending between them. I asked it to do a man walking across the stage, and this is the animation that it generated, making 100 frames from this. And there's other examples that people have done. They all have the same zoom in sort of feature. The generating this on this service took about, I would say, 4 minutes, and it cost about $1 to generate. So taking that cost in mind, because of course we were having this done as a service, you can run these on your local machine, but they get more expensive. But it just kind of opens up what you can ask of these systems, and of course they're going to get better over time and become more widely available too. Um, but this is the tool that's kind of available. I don't know, Kimmy, what do you think about like using these tools and where people can go with them and where kids can go with them?
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all stunning, like just the kinds of images that come out of it. So, I mean, you can have a lot of fun just playing around with it, but I think it's like such a great starting off point for creativity. Like being surprised by the stuff that it made for us was like so much fun, right? Like you can tell like we were just having a blast watching it. And so like going through them, we're like, oh, we could do this with it. We could make a blabber out of this with it. We could, you could do the communication thing with it, like, or you could use it, as a background. All kinds of stuff. Like it's just um, by having this system where you can input something and be surprised by what comes out, I feel like is so inspiring and just gave us so many ideas. And so it's something that you could have a lot of fun with your kids, or even just as a teacher yourself, right? Just playing with it and then thinking like, oh, I'd love to do this with my class with it. Just as a tool, it's so flexible and so inspiring that it's can be a lot of fun. As we said, there are like some caveats with using it, and so it's something that I think would be useful to play around with before jumping in, like with your class. But that said, I think it's something that's really powerful, and I would encourage teachers to get familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely going to be a tool that I think we're all going to be encountering as we move forward in the future and getting more comfortable with the finicky nature of them. Like these systems lower the barrier of entry of creating content so much, but because they're still kind of in their infancy, they're not really able to generate exactly what you're thinking. A, because I don't think like we as humans have necessarily been trained to interact with them and give them the prompts that are needed to generate that output. And B, those systems haven't necessarily understood what your intention is. And so getting used to using these systems, being familiar with the idea of trying things and having to have multiple tries, guiding these systems to the output you want, um, it's it's a new skill because you're asking like any one of these images. If you had asked a individual to do it from the same prompt, it would have taken an enormous amount of time, it would have taken an enormous amount of effort, and then it would have been really frustrating because you'd have to wait for that time to do something, and then you get the return result and you're like, this isn't what I want. Whereas in this case, you're getting back results within seconds and you're able to iterate, and being able to ask, iterate, change, and move forward is a really great skill for students and teachers as well too. I mean, like learning to use these systems is going to be new for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that's difficult about asking students to create art, like you said, it takes a lot of time, and it's also something that, like, if you want to create a really good image or something, it takes practice. It might take years of honing your skills. It takes money perhaps to buy supplies or lessons or whatever. And so the thing that these AI generated images give you is the ability to create something. It gives anybody the ability to create something right off the bat. um, and so Yeah, there were some debates on like AI generated art, and that's a whole separate conversation we could have on another day. But I think that there is still value to putting this in the hands of everybody and letting everyone create something surprising and beautiful.
Yeah, I really like the idea of using this for inspiration and for storyboarding. Like that's been a really
Mhm.
fun thing for me. Of like where if I'm trying to create a blabber or an idea, and I'm like, all right, well, what would it look like if I'm gonna have to go and like draw the image myself or do something? You just ask the system, here's the scene, and all of a sudden now you've got like this composition that's presented to you. It's a great like point for jumping off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. A while back, I created a blabber where I asked for an image of a person, and like obviously you can see we went through, it doesn't do faces very well, but just from getting that like outline of a person, then I threw on like cartoon eyes and a cartoon mouth, and was able to make something pretty funny looking, and it was like goofy, and it was pretty much what I was going for, and it saved me the hassle of like trying to draw out an entire figure. But there was still room there for me to add my own touches to it with the cartoon face. So yeah, there's just a lot of directions you can take with it, and it's a tool to have in the toolbox. It's not gonna, at this point, it's really hard to generate something very specific with it, as Mo was saying. So like, it's not gonna get you 100% of the way there if you're looking for something, Obama on the moon kind of a thing. But it's a really handy tool, and great jumping off point for inspiration.
I forgot about that animation, but that is like that's really funny. We were joking around about that that specific scenario, and the fact was that you took the spirit that we had in that moment, and you weren't able to lose the momentum. You quickly made that animation, and then and presented it, and we were like laughing about it because it's like it wasn't like you went back and then you spent hours toiling on it. So I don't. That's a really powerful thing of just being able to try something in that moment. Like you're like, I don't need the perfect thing for this. I need to catch it in this moment while the spirit's right here, while the inspiration's there. Yeah, that's so. This is definitely in that space. I think it's really cool. Well, I guess that's it. That's all we got for this one. We tried to make this short. Went long, but it's good. We're
It was a
posting it
fun
up.
one. It was
It's
a
a
fun
good
one.
one. It's a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. As always, you can contact me, Mo at blabberize.com, and Kimmy at blabberize.com if you send us any information, ask questions, or whatever. Just reach out. Bye.
Bye.